Hi, young artists. We're going to be making a clay flower. So you're going to need to get your clay, your air dry clay, out of that bag and unwrap it from the plastic wrap. And you can work on the mat that was given to you. You can work on the plastic wrap, or you can work on that plastic bag. Any of those places are fine, and that'll help the rest of it keep dry. Hopefully keep the rest of your surface a little cleaner. But what we're going to do is we're going to start to flatten out this clay. So we're going to press down. You can also use the heel of your hand. But what we want to do, whether we're hitting it, pressing it, whichever case might be, you might even try taking a cup and rolling over it to try to get it flat. You can also flip it. But what we want to try to do is get that to about pancake or cookie thickness. So about pancake or cookie thickness. Once it's there, if you want your shape to be a little more perfect, you can take that plastic knife that is in your kit, and you might go around and cut off some of the edges a little bit if you want it to be a little neater. And then I'm going to take this extra clay around the edges and peel it off. Alright. And then I find that it helps to make sure this is peeled off. So you can try to pull it up. If it pulls up easy, great. If not, put your hand on it, flip over, and peel the mat off instead. Sometimes that works a little easier. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my plastic knife right here, and I'm going to cut out shapes around the outside edge. You can do little triangles, you could do big triangles, you could try other shapes too. I think triangles are nice and easy because then you can just cut and cut. And you can decide how big or little you want to cut them out. But I'm going to go all the way around and cut out shapes. And then I'm going to take this extra clay from all those little shapes, and we want to ball that back up. So squish it all together and roll it in your hand. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to roll it. So I'm going to roll it in my hand here, or I could roll it on my mat, but roll it in a circle to make it a ball. And then we're going to clap our hands together to flatten that out. Alright, so there's my little circle. That's going to be the center of my flower. But we can't just stick it on there, it will fall off. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what is called scoring and slipping, or scratch, water, wiggle. So we're going to scratch. So take my fork, I'm going to scratch up and down, side to side, and I'm going to do that on this piece too. Scratch up and down, side to side. So scratch, then I'm going to add a little bit of water. So scratch, water, scratch, water, and then once I've added the water comes the wiggle. So scratch, water, wiggle. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to wiggle until it starts to be harder to wiggle. So once I start twisting it enough, let's find when it wants to not keep wiggling on its own. Alright, and mine is starting to become a little harder to wiggle, so once I do that, it's good to go. It's stuck on there. So, I have this extra clay. There's a few things I could do with that. One is I could make a stem out of some of it, so I can make a coil. Coils are you taking a piece and you can roll them back and forth in your hand to make like a snake shape. You can also do that on your table. You can cut out shapes, so I could flatten a piece and cut out a shape for a leaf. So I'm going to cut out like a football shape for my leaf. Or maybe I want to make a little bug that could be flying on it. So I might make my own little bug that's going to visit this. So I might pinch a little bit and make a shape. But all of these pieces that I make, whatever I make to add on to this, remember we can't just stick it on. We've got to scratch, water, wiggle. So I'm going to scratch, water, and then wiggle it. And then I'm going to blend that in a little bit. So scratch, water, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Another thing you can do is you can use some of the tools that you have, like say this pen tool, and maybe I want to add some details with it. Maybe I want to give it some texture with my fork, or draw some lines on it. So you can add details and textures with your tools as well. And once you're all done, you can decide if you want to keep it flat. Do you want it to be flat, or do you want it to be round? If you want it to be round, you're going to need a bowl. So find a bowl. Take that piece of plastic wrap, like a cereal bowl. Take a piece of plastic wrap, stick the piece of plastic wrap on there, and then I'm going to pick up my clay. And I could stick it in there. And that's what that would do, is that would make it round. Do you have to do that? No. But if you wanted it to be round in 3D, you could. Otherwise, just lay it flat on that mat. Let it dry for a few days. And you'll have your beautiful clay flower. Have a great day.